Hey everybody, Happy New Year and New Year. We're going to be talking about new tech with a new name, the Dawn of Autonomy, formerly the Dawn of Drones podcast. I'm Dawn Zolda, your host and the CEO of P3 Tech Consulting, and we are so excited to kick off this new brand with an industry newcomer, AIBOT, and we've got John Clarkson here with us, and he is their chief engineer. So excited to have you, John. Great to have you on the show.
Fantastic. Lovely to meet everyone. Nice to be on the show.
So, AI bot, people have already been emailing me and John, like, what is this company? Tell us more about it. So let's start at the beginning and tell us what led your founders, Jerry, RK, and ZK to create AI bot just in 2022.
Well, they, like everybody else, suffer from poor traffic. So the founding story is very much rooted in that frustration that we all experience on the existing transportation system. Jerry, RK, and ZK just wanted to work towards a future that is just easier for everyone, not only efficient, but also environmentally friendly. So the goal was simple: to create a safe, simple to operate aircraft that everyone can use for everyday use.
All
Simple as
right.
that.
That's amazing. We're going to be talking about the range of aircraft you guys are developing, and it's really incredible. But you kind of hit on it a little bit, but let's really take it home here. What is the company's mission?
Well, the company's mission is to be an industry leader in this embryonic industry that's growing at a rapid rate. We're moving from our current mix of automated and manually operated uncrewed aircraft towards a future of high performance, carbon free, internet connected autonomous systems. Um, we are really ambitious in our goals, but we also understand that we need to walk the walk with the authorities, with our regulatory partners, um, commercial partners, investors, and the general public. This means we need to introduce the means by which we can validate and then safely integrate our autonomous systems as we drive up the efficiency of operations. Enable those flying cars to fly.
All right. And, a lot of times those flying cars start with something smaller. So we're going to get into that full
Yep.
range. Everybody hang on because we've got some exclusive photos. I might even go out on a limb and say some of them may even be first ever seen. These guys have been flying below the radar, no pun intended, just waiting to talk to you today. So how do you intend to make all of this a reality? As you said, these are pretty lofty goals. How do you intend to get there?
They are lofty goals, but we have a fantastic team behind it, and we have a very good roadmap to get to where we need to get to. The thing that makes us unique is that we are placing ourselves in a traditional space between the current industry, which predominantly involves smaller drones, lower altitudes and smaller distances, like Amazon Air, that type of thing. And the world of eVTOL and advanced air mobility, which is larger aircraft, passengers, higher altitudes, greater ranges. So we're sort of in between that. We're using subscale systems to start to build our knowledge, our experience and reliability on the systems. And we validate a lot of it as we go along.
Yeah, well, that makes a lot of sense. I think recently posted up an article where NASA is doing the same thing, right? They're using the smaller aircraft to
Yeah.
validate concepts for UAS traffic management to be used also with the larger air taxis or eVTOL aircraft. So, start small, test it out, go big. It's going to be really exciting. People, when I interview them, John, they love to talk about their companies, and even when I ask them about themselves, they right away start talking about the company. So I'm going to put you on the spot so people have some context about your background.
Yep.
You obviously have an awesome accent. And my understanding is you spent some time with the Royal Air Force, go Air Force, I'm US Air Force, and also with Airbus. So can you give us some highlights of your career before you joined AIBOT?
Yeah, certainly. So, as you mentioned, I had a very successful career in the Her Majesty's Royal Air Force in the United Kingdom, 27 years. Yeah, I graduated from that as a squadron leader and joined Airbus as a head of engineering. So I was in charge of the A320, A380, and A400M wings and pylons, which meant that the design from root to tip was my responsibility.
Wow.
We very much used the traditional aviation standards to ensure safety and that the product met all the requirements, whether that was safety, um, performance, and the ability to last life 30 or plus years. Uh, Great time. And I got to the point in 2017 and I thought, I've achieved what I wanted to achieve in Airbus. Time to see whether I can make a difference in the eVTOL world. I've been in aviation since the age of 10. Uh, I just wanted to get into this embryonic industry and make a difference.
That is amazing. So why AIBOT? How did you find your way over to this company?
I had a very nice phone call from the recruiter, and we had a discussion. Then had a discussion with the CEO at the time, and they showed me the product. I came and saw the product, and I thought, wow, this aircraft is aesthetically pleasing, which is always good for me. I'm an aerodynamicist at heart. The thing looked good, so it had potential. Performance figures were looking good, uh, and the whole company, the vision and the mission was exciting. So I thought, yeah, why not? So I moved myself and my whole family out to the US to make this work.
Wow. Well, we're glad you're here. And speaking of being glad that people are here, we're glad that folks are out there. We know we can see the numbers on YouTube. So thank you for watching today. Remember, this is a live show. You have an expert here. So if you have questions, you have comments, even if you just want to give positive encouragement or give us a shout out and tell us where you're from, we love all of that. So please jump on in the chat. We'd love to hear from you. But John, I want to, we talked about the mission, we talked about the vision, these lofty goals. There are specific challenges in short and medium distance transportation that
Yeah.
AIBOT is aiming to solve. I want to very specifically talk about those. Can you explain what those problems are that you believe AIBOT has a way to solve?
Yeah, I mean the current system is inefficient and environmentally unfriendly. You get a lot of congestion, whether it's on the ground or in the air. If you go from Las Vegas to LA, for instance, you've got to do ground transportation, then you're into the aircraft side where you're waiting, then you've got the actual travel, the holding pattern, the landing, and then you're into the ground transportation yet again. That can be frustrating. It's also uh, fuel hungry, actually. Even though everybody makes the cars as efficient as they can, at the end of the day, if you're doing 5 miles an hour, you're doing 5 miles an hour, and you're not anywhere near as efficient as you could be in both time and energy. So that's what we're looking to get over. So by having an aircraft, same as all eVTOLs, that can take off vertically, enter the airspace, get to where it's going and land, then that is far more efficient than getting stuck in traffic for an hour and a half in LA.
Well, absolutely, John. As you were like outlining an average trip, I was thinking, oh my gosh, I've got so much travel planned this year. And you're absolutely right. There are times, because I'm in Colorado, where I don't go up to the mountains because it's a nightmare on I-70. If I could take a hop, an eVTOL from Colorado Springs or even Denver Airport up to, for example, Breckenridge or Vail, I'd be on those slopes every weekend, but right now it's just not happening. So I look forward to the day when you guys come out here, and I hope it's soon. But let's talk about some other goals. Like you mentioned, these environmental concerns, of course. but there are also kind of societal concerns about, for example, restricted mobility. And so let's talk a little bit about those, the environmental and social impacts that are associated with current transportation options.
Yeah, so as I explained earlier, you've got to look at it. It's not just carbon emissions that's the issue, it's the congestion. If you can get the flow of commuters moving properly, then you reduce the overall carbon output. And they're very closely tied together. Use of electric and eventually fully autonomous aircraft, that will take time to arrive. Highly automated is probably the best we'll do for the next few years, and that's just being very honest. We've got a lot of development work to do. All companies have in this field. Fully autonomous is something that we need to work very closely with authorities with as well, to get to where we need to get to. But if we do it right, we can actually help the legacy air transportation system, because we will provide those middle miles, but the big transport can then efficiently do the longer miles, like the transatlantic, transpacific type transport.
Yeah, I love that, and the accessibility aspect of it too, to be able to utilize, for example, regional airports. I just saw a post from from Rex Alexander, a good friend of mine, a colleague, a worldwide expert on vertiports. I think it was Rex, or it might have been Clint Harper, kind of his partner in crime. We're a regional airport. I think it was Santa Clara out in California is closing down. So sad, because we need to be taking advantage of these and converting them to vertiports and using the infrastructure we have. But the point, to your point, with eVTOL, it doesn't have to be an airport,
No.
right? So many possibilities. By the way, folks are jumping in the chat, so that's exciting. We've had Chris Genesith. He is, by the way, a super fan. He's out of Texas. He says, good morning. What's AIBOT's website address? We'll be posting that, Chris. And Greg Larson is wishing everybody a great 2024 from AGS. So thank you, Greg, for jumping in that chat. All right, now's the time where we're going to start talking about these incredible aircraft that you joined the company to help build and design and promote and get out there to help society in so many ways. So let's start small. Let's talk about the specifications and capabilities of your uncrewed aircraft systems. And I believe you're really focused on an industrial use case. So this isn't like a recreational vehicle, right? This is something, yeah. So tell us more.
Right. So, so a lot of companies do this. We are no exception, but our approach is different. So this is one of our new unique selling points, is we are developing our systems from the ground up. We're starting with smaller subscale aircraft. Well, I say small, they're not that small. They're not full size, but they're not far off. And it's where we start from. So we start developing the systems, controlling them, tuning them. They're fully electric, highly automated. They're uncrewed, as you would expect, although there is a man in the loop on the ground. But it's the first step to our full manned eVTOL systems. The software we've got in there is proprietary. It's called control allocation. We have gone one generation above that as well. So when we went to OEM tier 1 supplier and told them where we were at when we were discussing negotiations,
right,
they said, have you really done that? And we said, yeah, we've not only done it, we've actually flown it and proved it and done a full mission with that new software. So we're now working with them to go forward. So yeah, we are absolutely cutting edge. The the UAV, the large percentage UAV subscale, is completely aviation standard. Cutting edge structure, cutting edge avionics and software, which is being developed in-house to the right standards.
Okay, amazing. So you said it's pretty big. Can you give us an idea of actually how big it is?
This one's around 5-meter wingspan.
Okay, 5 meters. Now, my understanding is this can carry about, I'm going to use the US measurement system here, 80-pound payload.
Yes.
And it can hit max speeds up to 180 miles an hour and cover a range of up to 60 miles.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. I don't know if you can share with us how all of this is possible. We have a lot of conversations around batteries, and that is a real big concern, with electricity. You have a battery that can go up to 60 miles. So if you want to expand on any of these specifications, we'd love to hear that. And then I want to talk about, what industries you're aiming to serve with this aircraft.
Yeah. So, like conventional aircraft, actually, the payload and the range are interlinked. So if you have a reduced fuel load, you can actually extend your range.
Sure.
If a single pilot's in a GA aircraft, he can travel a lot further on his own than he can if he takes his family.
Yeah.
But we are, the figures there, 60 miles with an 80-pound payload is what we are absolutely targeting and is achievable. And the reason for that is the aircraft is designed to be very, very efficient. We've designed for range, for speed, but it's very much dependent on the mission. We can actually do some very interesting things which we can't talk about, just to put a teaser out there.
Well, yeah, you tell us some of it, but then you'd have to kill us all. But let's talk about the things you can talk about. So, you talked about kind of middle mile, and that makes me think some kind of cargo delivery, maybe even ship to shore. I'm just thinking out loud. So tell us about some of the use cases you do envision that you feel comfortable talking about publicly right now.
Yeah, so we're looking at expedited cargo delivery logistics solutions for remote locations, as you say, offshore, A to B, rapid. I mean, we can travel, quickly over quite a substantial distance. First responder capability. We can land a substantial piece of kit anywhere you need it within a given range. Infrastructure inspections, with the right camera payload, you can inspect oil and gas lines, you can expect forestry, surveillance, traffic surveillance, any sort of real-time surface monitoring we can do. And then we've actually sized it quite nicely for medical resupply and organ transplant. There are complications with that because obviously, the medical side gets involved, but it's ideally suited for any of those applications.
Wow, that's so cool. And John, I don't know if you know this, but I recently authored an article for Inside Unmanned Systems magazine about wildland fires and how drones are being employed in so many facets, from prevention up front to the actual, as you said, disaster response. And so, folks, if you haven't read that, check it out. It's called "The World is on Fire. UAS have joined the fight." And now AIBOT is also joining that fight. So that's such an important use case. I mean, a lot of the ones first responder, obviously my heart goes out to all of them, and appreciative for everything they do to help people. And organ transplant, I mean, talk about precious cargo and life-saving applications. So I love that you're targeting, consistent with your mission and your vision and goals, these kind of drones for good use cases. That's amazing and so cool. So we talked about some of the specifications of your aircraft, and a lot of people wonder, well, how safe is it? It's big, it goes fast, it can do all these different things, but how do you ensure that your aircraft and all the associated systems are sufficiently safe and reliable?
I come from Airbus, same as Boeing. We are used to the large aircraft passengers. The A380 could have up to 850 people on board.
Yeah.
This, you have an accident, and those systems, procedures, processes that were used traditionally in the big OEMs like Boeing, Bombardier, Airbus, would come with me. It's part of my DNA. So we use those systems. We have to use those systems. Even our subscales are done to the same level. The expectation is that we are developing those systems to go into the manned aircraft. So I want to be able to go to bed at night knowing that my partner and children can travel in that aircraft and know it's safe. So the way we work at AIBOT is we are safety first, have to be every time. And we use those traditional systems. It's as simple as that.
All right. Well, very important, obviously. And, AI, if there was at least in terms of the work that my partner, Mike Peel, and myself have done last year, whether it was even on this, the Dawn of Drones podcast or our full crew newscast, AI, artificial intelligence, seemed to be kind of the buzz word of the year. It's just popping up everywhere. And, obviously it's part of your name. So my question to you is what sets your next gen AI support, the AI that you've now infused into your eVTOL platform? What sets that apart in terms of autonomy and connectivity?
It's very much the ultimate goal for the company is to introduce AI into the system as part of the core features. We want enhanced autonomy, software-driven connectivity, precision navigation. We have a customized high-performance computer system on all our platforms. We are starting with highly automated, which is roughly conventional in the way we do our business. But the aim is that the AI development is running in the background, and there will be a stepping stone when that AI then is allowed to be part of the system once the regulatory bodies allow it. That might be a way away, but the R&D is ongoing now, and I know other companies are doing it, but so are we. So the way we're looking at it is we will use the conventional systems with the AI in the background and the AI will learn and adapt and become what it needs to be for the future. So I just want to touch base on the sufficiently safe and reliable question that you posed just before, Dawn.
Yeah, please.
So the way it works is you work out what your requirements are for your aircraft, top to bottom, everything from what your passenger seat looks like to what the aircraft looks like, what power systems you would like to put on the system. You then do what they call a functional hazard assessment of the whole airframe, down to all systems and components. And then once you've done that, you start to come back up and test, double test, detailed design, amend, and carry on that cycle until you reach the reliability goals that you're aiming for. It's how it's done in the big world, in the big aircraft world, and that's the system that we will be using.
Well, that makes a lot of sense, and I want to ask you, John, about your. I kind of asked it a little bit earlier, but I don't think I did fully. What sets your technology apart in terms of propulsion and battery technology? Because we're talking, like we said, what, 80 pounds, 60 miles. So what sets that apart?
Well, as you know, or well, some of your audience will know, once you start your certification journey for your unmanned aircraft, you tend to have to freeze your technology at that point in time. And that is normally a few years before you get your type cert. Now, the leaders in the field are just getting to the point where they can type cert their aircraft now, which is fantastic news actually for everyone, because the industry needs some success in terms of getting aircraft through that type cert journey.
Yes.
So the leaders, hats off to them, fantastic effort. And I know it's cost them a lot of time and money to get to where they have to. The downside of that is that they normally end up a few years behind what's the best in the field at the moment. Now, we haven't quite started our type cert journey. We are heavily in discussions with the FAA, so we are starting our journey. But what that means is we can use the absolute latest next-gen battery, which will be great. We're using really high voltages where we can, where we can guarantee power, energy, and reliability, stroke safety. Remember, batteries are the biggest health risk, let's say, for any eVTOL. There are lots of battery systems out there, and the biggest concern from everyone is that we use them appropriately so they don't become a danger to life and property. And we're looking at liquid-cooled multi-port charging. So one of the biggest restrictions on eVTOLs is the ability to charge quickly.
Yeah.
Now, we are very lucky in AIBOT that we have access to automotive technology, and we are looking at the ability to charge at a higher rate but without detrimental effects on the battery systems. We're working with some very serious OEMs out there who are doing some really good work and who are now starting to qualify battery systems which are top of the range. So yeah, it's looking very, very promising. And you've got to remember as well, the power systems is only part of the equation. The aircraft and the configuration that it goes into is the other side of the coin, and our aircraft is pretty good.
Yeah, I'd say so. And I'm looking forward to showing these pictures in a minute. But before we do, so we kind of talked about your proprietary software. We talked about propulsion and battery technology. We talked about autonomy and connectivity. I want to talk about your flight control and, so what technology, if you can share that, are you leveraging for your flight control and performance of these aircraft?
I can't say too much about it, but what I can tell you is that, as I said earlier, it's control allocation is the fundamental cornerstone of it. That's the baseline of it. It's moving away from the traditional control system that a lot of systems use, which is called a PID. The control allocation uses a slightly different premise. What it does allow is that we can use all our effectors, and we have multiple tens of effectors on the aircraft. And an effector is a motor, a rotor, a control surface, anything that affects the way the aircraft flies. We can utilize every single one with our flight control system to ensure that the aircraft flies smoothly and safely. So we can lose a control surface, we can lose a motor, a rotor. We have variable pitch rotors, so we can actually utilize variable torque system as part of the equation to ensure that we have a seamless response during the flight envelope in all aspects of flight. We've already proved we can fly safely and reliably and stably, actually, in all phases of flight. We have done a complete mission with a 500-pound aircraft. We're already old hats at this. We are now on our second generation, third generation aircraft. So yeah, we're looking good.
Wow. So, for everybody listening out there, if you haven't figured it out yet, these guys have been working hard behind the scenes for a couple years. They haven't been saying a lot. This is the first time they're really talking. And oh, by the way, John is dropping some, let's just say, teasers for what is to come. We're hearing about partnerships with electric or with OEMs on the automotive side, et cetera. So, I'm looking forward to all these announcements in 2024 and beyond. But let's talk about really just the past year. We just hit 2024, but 2023 was a really big year for you guys. You accomplished some incredible milestones. From developing this first prototype that we're talking about to achieving full autonomy. So can you elaborate on some of these milestones? And then I want to pop up some pictures.
Okay, so actually we'll go back. We'll give you a bit of a story.
Okay, so I love stories. That's what we're all about, telling stories here.
Yeah, absolutely. So 2022, I joined the company mid-22. The company had just completed its first 500-pound demonstrator, and we're starting a flight test campaign. Within 4 months, we'd gone from aircraft sat on the ground to a full transition mission. So we took off, transitioned, cruised, transitioned back, and landed all in one flight. An incredible achievement. Very few companies publicly announce when they do that, but we were very proud of the team. We were a small team at that point. We were only 12 strong, and we'd achieved something that very few had achieved. We weren't a render. We were, because when you go from the design board to actually flying it for real, it's a very different experience. So that was 2022. 23 saw some major changes. So we started our next generation aircraft. So we took the 500-pound and took it right through to first hover last year. So we went from a clean sheet of paper to first hover in 9 months.
Wow.
And that's a fully aerospace product. So that's aerospace structure, avionics, landing gear, you name it, full aviation standard harness, control systems, can controlled, everything we needed was done to the right standard. We saw our first major strategic partnership with Honeywell. And we've already started the FAA discussions, pre-certification journey discussions with the FAA.
All right, awesome. We're gonna roll these pictures in 1 second, but before we do, I want to say something. Back up. You said you did your first transition flight in November 2022. Is that what you said? All right, that's exciting. And you guys didn't really go public with it, but I have to tell you, John, I was on the flight line watching Archer do this same exact flight that you're talking about with their maker, which is their prototype for the Midnight aircraft. And there you were, like up the coast or whatever in California doing the same thing, just not making a big splash about it. So great on you. That's absolutely incredible. So many milestones this past year. We've got some behind the scenes photos. I'd love to roll them right now and have you talk a little bit about what we're seeing.
Yeah, so this is the VPF, the variable pitch fan, we call it, which is in-house designed by actually the young gentleman there. His name's David Cancel, and he's taken the requirements and developed it, which means we can optimize our motor RPMs and controller systems to the mission, which saves a lot of mass, a lot of weight, which increases our overall efficiency for the aircraft. Very, very talented guy.
Very cool. All right, here we go. What are we looking at here?
Same thing, actually. This is the variable pitch. This is the guts of it, actually. So it's very, very compact. You can see the size of his hand. There's nothing like it on the market. It uses an unusual design, which tactically his fingers are covering, because we are going to look at potentially marketing it. So This is the painting of the latest generation aircraft. So we just received this back from our producers in Arizona, and we were just trimming it up, doing the final painting, ready for installation of all the equipment.
Very cool.
And this, again, is the harness going into the fuselage. It's a complex aircraft.
Well, it definitely gives you some perspective when you see the two gentlemen next to the aircraft, standing, obviously vertically, like kind of that horizontal length of the aircraft, even without the wings. The fuselage itself. Oh, look, and we've got a hangar. So what do we got going on here?
Right. So this was a very special moment. So Ollie and Atlee, the two gentlemen there, had just put the aircraft onto its wheels for the very first time. So we just attached the undercarriage to the fuselage, and they'd literally just turned it onto its wheels. So that's the first time the aircraft went on gear. That
I
was
love it. You can see the excitement, kind of the hands up and the clapping, and it's such a great picture. I love that. So wow, I mean, right there were a couple milestones, like you said, just even putting that fuselage, on the wheels and whatnot. But you also mentioned a partnership with Honeywell.
Yes.
That's a big one because I follow eVTOL Insights and some of these other big eVTOL news outlets, and Honeywell's popping up all over the place. But you guys secured a partnership with them. Tell us a little bit about that.
So we went to them and started discussing potential partnerships with them. We then showed them what we'd done with the 500-pound aircraft, the full transition mission. And we discussed with them what we were actually doing with our software, the fact we were doing control allocation software, that we'd actually made it work. We'd proved it. We'd actually flown several missions with a slightly smaller subscale than the 500. And they just went, wow, you're ahead of the game, so far ahead of the game. In fact, they sort of said we're certainly amongst the top few in the second wave of eVTOL manufacturers, potential manufacturers, and we both agreed that partnership could work. So that's why we went down that road with them.
That is so exciting. And not only that, but then you guys also secured a $15 million grant from the Cal Competes grant program. Tell us a little bit about that and the significant impact that could have on your future endeavors.
Yeah, so AIBOT's R&D, flight testing and manufacturing will just accelerate due to that. We're looking to create just under 700 jobs and nearly $500 million in investment for our business as a fallout from the Cal grant.
Wait a minute. You said that you started with 12 people. And then you just said you're looking to create 697 or almost 700 new jobs.
Over the next 5 years.
Wow. That's incredible. So, I love what California's doing. They're doing so much in this space, and people like Grant Harper have been on the cutting edge, helping folks like in LA and other places. I know he's working in Utah now. Do this kind of stuff, but congratulations. I mean, that's a huge win. And I love what you're going to do with those funds, but let's talk about the future. So here we are now in 2024. Everybody's looking ahead. Everybody's got their New Year's resolutions. Businesses have their goals for this year. So John, what can we expect from AIBOT over this next year?
So 2024, we're looking to carry on developing our software. Looking to increase the autonomy within our software. We're also looking to increase the capabilities of the aircraft. So we've started our flight test campaign last year, back end of last year. So 2024, we'll take that forward. We'll start to do the full suite of features that we're going to do. We're going to start our certification journey properly. with the FAA. So we will put our type cert in this year, application in, which will, show our commitment to the world that, we're taking this seriously, and any eVTOL company that doesn't is not going to go very far. So we're embracing the FAA, and we're looking to work really well with them and get to where we need to get to. Moving into 2025, we're going to look to our first prototype, full-size prototype, unmanned initially, then manned, just basically refining systems again, but this time at a larger scale. By 2026, we're looking then to our first engineering prototype, which is fully compliant with all the requirements, hopefully, and then hopefully to the full certification towards the 2028, 29, and also back into 24 from the unmanned systems, we're looking to start selling the product to the market. That's roughly where we're at.
All right. Well, great. I love how you're kind of dual tracking this, because honestly, and when I first met some of your teammates, I'm going to say it was, where were we? We're in Las Vegas. I know we sat down at the National Business Aviation Association Business Aviation Conference and Expo in Vegas back in November. And I heard what you were doing more fully. I was like, I don't know of any company doing that. There are definitely eVTOL companies that are obviously starting with smaller prototypes for the test and evaluation and things like this. But I love that you've decided, we're gonna leverage this smaller aircraft and make, let's just call it a kick-ass drone and sell that while we're also on this air taxi journey. Like, I don't know anyone else doing this. And that's why I was so excited to work with you, because I was like, this is super cool. You guys are bridging both worlds, because, oftentimes those worlds, they really don't intersect. Either you're kind of in the UAS space or you're in the eVTOL space. And oftentimes, never the twain shall meet. You guys have crossed that Rubicon. And I think it's really interesting that you're doing that. And I think it's going to help you. And I think it's going to help. In fact, I think it's going to help the whole industry, because the things you're going to learn from the UAV side and all of the enterprise solutions that you're going to be in those use cases we talked about, will obviously translate to a certain extent to the air taxi side. And of course, your impeccable background with Airbus and crewed aircraft, just unbelievable. So where can we find you? I know Chris asked about your website. We'll pop that up again later. But from kind of a, what's the next show where you guys might be running around? People can see you, maybe even at some point see that aircraft in person.
And well, that will be happening soon. I'm sure the PR department will let everyone know where we're going to be, so that everyone can come and have a look.
All right. Well, very good. And I'm just going to do a little reveal here. Next week at CES, the Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas, AIBOT will be one of our guests on our live stream from the floor. So check that out next Thursday, January 11th at 9 a.m. Mountain, 11 a.m. Eastern. And you'll learn a little bit more and maybe even hear some announcements possibly from the company. But that aside, what else did you want to talk about? We literally have 1 minute left, and I definitely want to cede this time to you, John, to cover whatever we missed and make any closing comments before we dial off.
We're in extremely exciting times here at the company. We're expanding rapidly. We're looking to employ over 100 new people into the team in various areas. So if you're interested in an exciting career in this new world, then please look at our website. We've got the jobs posted there, and apply. And we'd love to see some really good applicants turn up.
Well, I love that. Not only are you launching this drone this year, you're moving forward on the air taxi, and you're also employing people. Like, come on down, we've got jobs. So That's awesome. And what a place to work, on this cutting edge technology across the board. So we are at time, John. I knew our time would fly. That's all she wrote for this very first Dawn of Autonomy. Thank you so much for being our guest today. Thank you, AIBOT, for sponsoring this month dedicated to new tech. And we look forward to hearing more. We will keep our eyes open for AIBOT this year. We are out here.